Well, good morning, everybody. It is Saturday, January 19th, and after quite a bit of time getting things set up, I think I finally have the trainer and bike and all of the electronic equipment set up properly, so that not only can I train, but I can train with you. So I can stream, have a conversation with you if you need to. You can hopefully cheer me on by chatting. Of course, I can't type in chat, so hopefully I'll be able to see the messages if anybody jumps on here. Some of the updates that I've made. I bought a Elgato cam link. Was able to take my old camcorder that had a DV or an HDMI out on it and was able to hook that up, so that's why the picture's a lot better than what it was. Not an investment that I necessarily wanted to make, but I think that it just makes, if I'm going to do the streaming or these videos, it just makes sense for me to do. So got that all squared away. Stumbled upon a website late last night called Restream, and what I was looking for and how I found that was that it allows you to stream to more than one service or platform, I should say. So right now I'm currently streaming on YouTube and Twitch simultaneously, and that service is free. And after I get done today or later on, I'll go ahead and put on the link to that if it's something that you're interested in setting up yourself. Like I said, it's free, and there's quite a few services you can add on there for free. It also has a chat application that ties all of your different services chats together, which I thought was cool. So that way, because I mean, one of the questions that you would have, or one of the concerns that you would have, is that if you're going to stream to multiple platforms, how are you going to at least receive the communication or chats from those platforms? And Restream already has that handled for you, and you'll see right next to my heart rate that I believe that you'll see a little chat thing there, and that is something that is an overlay that I was able to put in there. A few other things that you'll see that I was able to put on the stream this time. The Wahoo logo, which is the trainer that I'm using. I'm using the 2018 Wahoo Kickr. Below that, you'll see the nutrition that I'm currently using for supplements, which is phorm, and I'll try to put a link in for that. I am one of their Legionnaires, and you don't just become one. You've got to get accepted in that program. And because of my 2012 transformation, they were willing to take a chance on me, knowing that I can do it again. And that's, if you go over next to the Zwifters nearby list, you'll see there at the bottom. That's kind of my inspiration to myself, to get back to that point. But you'll see that was my 8-month 2012 transformation, where I started and where I ended up. And then above that is the Raleigh logo, and Raleigh is the current bike that I'm riding. I'm riding a 2018 Willard 2 Raleigh gravel bike. And there's a lot of reasons that I'm riding, chose to ride a gravel bike. as opposed to my old road bike or my old mountain bike. And simply stated, where I live, it's the best way to get out and train. A lot of dirt roads. It just offers a lot more opportunity to ride. So hopefully this is streaming through good. As you guys, anybody that's followed me for any bit of time knows, this is all just a great big experiment at this point of trying to figure out the electronics and everything else. For anybody that isn't really sure why or how I'm sitting here on screen, this is a very, very simple, not complicated trick. I'm using a green colored fabric behind me, and then I just went to the, it's called chroma key setting, and I didn't even adjust it. So what's going on directly behind me may not be perfectly clear, might have some what they call noise, but that's how I'm able to come in here and you don't see, you know, the bedroom doors behind me and anything else that's behind me. Not that it matters, I just think it is a cleaner look, and I don't remember which YouTuber I saw that did it this way, but I already had the green screen fabric. I did buy a stand so that it can stand up behind me, and I think that was like $15 or $16 on Amazon. I've done this, I've set this up pretty cheap. I mean, as far as how I'm doing this right now, it wasn't a big expense as far as the equipment that I have, because I already had all of it, and only except for just a couple of things. So let's see, what didn't I have? So I didn't have the stand and the rotating swivel that my camcorder is using. I didn't have the stand that the green screen's using, and let's see, what else did I have to add to this? And I didn't have the cam link from Elgato. Now, I did try to stream the other day. This is, like I said, big experiment, learning how this all works, and I'm using a Lenovo Flex 5 laptop to run all of this, so it is by no means a very powerful laptop. It is barely keeping up. I'm actually running my task manager just to keep an eye on the CPU usage, because the other day when I tried to do this, the streaming on the Zwift app, just, I mean, it looked insane if anybody actually saw it. I mean, the bikes looked like they were crashed all over the place. It just wasn't working properly. But so I'm not using anything special on the computer side. I'm not. The camcorder is a 2012, or I think I got it in 2013, and it was an old model at that point. But I think it's a Canon Vixia HF R400, and so it matches up just as good as almost anything else that you could buy in that cheap camcorder line. It's not a DSLR camera, it's not a mirrorless camera, it's nothing fancy, but it does give you a better picture than what your onboard webcam gives you. And so that was part of why I wanted to figure out how to use it. And then Camlink. So Camlink, when I set that up from Elgato, you know, it didn't give the best instructions in my opinion. And so it told you to go and download the Elgato software, or the Elgato software. And I think that was one of the problems with the resources that were being eaten up. It seemed like even when it was unplugged, it was taking up some of my CPU. And I didn't want to mess around with figuring out why or how to redo settings or any of that with it. So what I ended up doing was uninstalling the software And then again late last night, just plugged the cam link back in when I was resetting up my OBS, because there's some other settings that I changed, and it worked. It didn't need the software. So for the purpose that I'm doing it or using it, I didn't need that software, and so it was just taking up resources that weren't needed. The other issue I had on the last live that I did on YouTube was when I plugged the cam link in, one of the things that's very difficult to see, especially on a small laptop screen, is the it must be going uphill because it's getting a bit harder here. And I'm new to this whole Zwift and Wahoo thing. If for those of you that didn't know that, you probably didn't realize it, but anyways, when I cooked that up, it automatically added the microphone from the camera. Problem is that I already had the mic set up here on my blue snowball mic that I bought probably 5-6 years ago. And so what it was doing, it was creating an echo. And it's just not something that you ever notice. You don't see it. You know, there's no setting that you actually see it in this small screen of my laptop. So anybody watching it would have just been annoyed instantly. And I will tell you that figuring out the sound has been probably the biggest challenge on getting this streaming service set up. But so what I've done, just to kind of get into that a little bit for anybody watching, is I've had to turn off the exterior speakers just by turning the volume down, so that I'm not distracted by the noise coming from the app. Now what that does to me as a rider is that it takes away that noise when I know I'm going over like a cobblestone or a wooden bridge like we just did, or even here on this dirt. That noise almost translates into a realistic feeling as far as the riding goes, because, you know, hearing is part of, you know, your physical experience when you're out riding on the road, and you get that when the noise is up a little bit, and you can change those volumes inside of Zwift. But for me, you know, it's just one of the deals. So sound's been one of the things that's taken a long time for me to figure out. Not that it's super challenging, it's that I tried to overcomplicate it and then didn't take the time to understand that any source that has a microphone is also going to be registering here on the stream. So I still may have an issue, you know. So the sources that could technically be giving sound right now is an external webcam that I have turned off, so it shouldn't be doing it, but it could. My laptop could be picking up that mic, which it shouldn't be, but it could. The webcam has a microphone, and that automatically goes in the system unless you turn it off, which I did, so you shouldn't hear that. And then the blue snowball microphone that's sitting literally right here in front of me that you just can't see because I have this picture cropped out, and that's the only one that I want you to hear me in. It's as close as I can get it, and the way I'm set up right now is that my office computer setup is right in front of me, and I'm able to not see it very well, but I'm able to actually use my second screen, have my laptop running, have the webcam in front of it, have the microphone right here, and have my bike sitting behind where my chair would normally be, and my chair's moved off a little bit to the side. So if I didn't have it set up this way, I could get closer, But oh man, so if I didn't have it set up this way, I actually could get closer to the screen. I'd actually be able to read some of the stuff, but and see if there's any errors or issues going on. But this works for now. Now it looks like I'm froze up here on the camcorder, so on the cam link. Not sure why that is, and maybe it's been that way the whole time. I'm gonna try to get over. Yeah, so I just waved at the camera and you can't see me. So hopefully I'm not too stupid down there. It's a son of a gun getting old. So anybody that's not sure about what I'm up to and why I'm streaming and all of that, I'd say getting into the streaming part of it is almost like the accountability side. So I figure that if I get on a schedule, I'll actually use this. But why am I cycling? Why am I cycling inside? And really, what's the bigger picture here? Well, long story, probably not super short, is that I was supposed to have an umbilical hernia surgery January 4th of 2019. And when we went in for pre-op, the doctor mentioned something about didn't I want to wait till I lost some weight. And I was a little bit shocked because a month and a half before that, it was never brought up that maybe I wanted to lose a little weight, or I should lose some weight. Because if it would have been brought up, I would have, and I can darn near promise you, I would have scheduled the surgery for a time that I knew I could actually lose some weight. I'm just turning the camera on and off, by the way, just to see if that changes anything, because there's obviously a link issue. And so, yeah, I mean, he was basically, you know, you want to lose some weight, or you need to lose some weight before we do the surgery to have more success. And oh, by the way, if your blood sugar is too high, I'm not going to do the surgery anyways. Well, I don't know what my blood sugar was at the time, but I knew that wasn't going to fare very well. And now I had the pre-op on a Thursday, and the surgery was supposed to be on a Friday. So it took me about 30 minutes to make the decision after I left the office, but I went ahead and canceled the surgery. And the doctor basically said that he'd like to see me. Well, normally he'd like to see somebody between 20 and 25 BMI, but because of my body type, and what I mean by that is my width, that he'd like to see me between 30 and 35. Basically said for my body type, it just made sense to add another 10 points. So it wasn't very difficult to do math and figure out that for me that meant to get down to 244 pounds. And I started out at 313 pounds. Not sure where I'm at right now. Haven't weighed myself in probably a week or so. But anyways, so then I had to figure out, now mind you, as you can see to the right of the screen there, I have done this before. I have pulled off a massive weight loss and fat loss, health transformation back in 2012. So it's not that I don't know how to do it. It's just that with this hernia, I have to be careful with which options I choose to use. And so what I've chosen is to ride a bike. And the reason I chose to ride a bike is, one, I like riding a bike. It's been partially a passion of mine throughout my adult life to ride, and I haven't been consistent with it, but I like riding a bike, and that stems from, all the way when I was a young kid. My only way to get anywhere, I lived, I think, a half-mile from, well, a quarter mile from my closest friend, close to a mile from my next friend that was my age, or close to my age, and that was it. I mean, that was it. I didn't have anybody else out in the country. You know, I lived in Frankenmuth, Michigan. You know, my mother worked, and so I had to get out there, and you know, if I wanted something, I went and got it. You know, back then was when bottles I think you could just start collecting bottles and getting money for them. So I'd take them up to, I can't remember the name of the meat market. I think it was Kogel's in Frankenmuth. So, I mean, I remember when I was a kid, between the ages of 7 and 10, somewhere in there, you know, they just opened up a McDonald's in Frankenmuth, and I went from where we lived on East Town Line Road all the way to the other side of town on my bike. I mean, this is by myself, nobody else, no friends. I mean, it's just how I got around. So it's always been a little bit of my life, but it's not what I did in 2012. But again, I have to train differently this time, and I don't expect biking to be my only training, but it's the one thing that I feel like will get me the cardio, get me the training in, give me an opportunity to do some kind of interval training, which going up and down hills does. And something that I can actually now do indoors with this Wahoo trainer combined with the Zwift app. Now, there are other apps. I don't have to use Zwift, but this one seemed to be the most interesting for me. The one that I felt like might motivate me the most. The hardest part of getting back on the bike is literally getting back on the saddle. Hey, one thing you'll notice right now is there's a person running. So one thing that's cool about Zwift is that, I think they're still in beta mode, but they have a running app. So you can be on a treadmill and be running through the same similar courses. And I think all you need is a speed sensor that attaches to your shoe. I don't think you need a specific treadmill, but you'll have to look that up yourself. But so that's a cool deal. The other thing I don't know is if your monthly subscription is something that works on both, but I would assume that it does. But again, something you'll want to look into. But anyways, so cycling seemed to be the best option for me, and and I'm just learning how to use Zwift and the Wahoo trainer. But part of the reason that the Wahoo trainer makes sense, because I think anybody that likes riding a bike would prefer to be outside. Well, let me give you all the reasons that this investment made a lot of sense to me. One, I work a lot of hours. I usually work anywhere from usually 5 days a week, 9 a.m. to as late as 7 scheduled, and you know, 8 or 9 if I have a customer come in. So that doesn't offer me, even in the summertime, a lot of options to go outside and ride. So that's where this trainer comes in play year round. The other part of it is, during the winter months, I definitely don't have a shot. Even if I get out at 6 o'clock, which I do 3 days out of the week. By the way, I work Saturdays too, most of the time. Well, I shouldn't say most of the time. Every other weekend, because I have my girls, and I don't work when I have my daughters. But even if I got out at 6 during the summertime, you know, I still have to take my bike and all that kind of fun stuff. So a lot of times that daylight's still an issue, no matter what time of year it is. But obviously here in the wintertime on the East Coast of the United States, even when pretty much every night I get out, there's not any daylight. Now that takes me to the next reason for having this trainer, which is I live in Michigan, and it's cold, and it's snowing, and it's ice, and riding outside, though it can be done, it's not something you're going to do every day. Definitely not something you're going to do if you're trying to train. You know, there are some really cool trails in Michigan for fat bikes, larger wheel or larger tire width mountain bikes, and even some gravel bikes with the right, you know, with maybe a 45 tire on it. This 40 would possibly work, but it wouldn't be a ton of fun, nor would a 45, by the way. So it's not that you can't ride, it's just that you can't ride consistently. And that, you know, and it's because, like, even right now it's 20 degrees, and I'm not sure if it's tomorrow or what day it is, but we're supposed to be below zero, so negative, and we're Fahrenheit here in the United States, not Celsius, so pretty cold. So that's part of it. So it's cold, it's snowy, it's icy, it's all those things that even with the greatest intentions, living out in the country, probably not gonna ride the bike. Matter of fact, not gonna ride. There's no probably about it. Not riding the bike. I'm not obsessed with it. I'm just using it as a method to help me train. So, hey, again, I apologize that I don't think the little camera on me right now is, I think it's froze up. But hopefully you can still hear me. Hopefully you can still see my vitals that are up there in the upper left-hand corner. And so as it states, I'm riding at 135 watts, 132 beats per minute on my heart. And again, that was something I didn't buy extra, even though I could have. But years ago, I had already bought, well, you can't see it, I'd already bought this Mio blood pressure strap that goes around my wrist. And it's way more comfortable for me to use that. It's fairly accurate. Mio's the company that pretty much revolutionized this type of blood pressure monitor. So the other way of doing it, the traditional way, over the last 10 or more years, is a strap that goes around your chest. Well, I have a very large rib cage, we'd say, and those just, I don't know if they're comfortable for anybody, but they certainly are not comfortable for me. So this works out great. I didn't have to spend any more money because, like I said, I bought this years ago, and it's, thank God it still worked, because I haven't used it in forever. But and then in the upper middle part, you guys can see, oh, I'm trying to see what the heck we're even looking at. I don't know if that's pace, and that's verse somebody. So that must be what's going on there. I'm going against somebody. I guess I haven't paid attention to that. My ETA, which I'm assuming maybe I'm on a course. I don't know. I should know all this. I don't. Way up top, you'll see that I'm currently going up a hill at 2 miles per hour, which, by the way, sucks a lot. And I am on the highest gear I can get to, and I'm still barely moving. So I've elevated 159 feet from seawater, or maybe since I've been riding, I don't know. I've ridden 5.2 miles so far, and I've been riding for 28 total minutes. There also is a companion app on my iPhone that's in front of me that I can see too. And so that's just where you can message, oh Jesus, other people that, and again, I'm not used to this stuff yet, so I was more worried about getting the stream up and running, which again, I'm still having technical difficulties, but I think at least you're seeing the, at least you're actually seeing the screen, and you're actually seeing the screen, and hopefully hearing my voice, even though my cam doesn't seem to be working properly. Just fine. Hey, if anybody's watching this, you know, go ahead and, if you're on YouTube Live, please send a chat, just so I know you're out there. Any of your encouragement greatly helps me stay motivated. And if you're on Twitch, do the same thing. I do have it set up to where on my OBS software I can see if you say anything. Now, I obviously can't type anything to get back and respond to you, but I'm trying to get, oh, that's not working either. Oh, anyways, must have stopped right at the exact time. It got very easy when I got back going, so it must have been, maybe we're going back downhill, I don't know. But holy crap, this sucks. But with the companion app that comes with Zwift on your phone, you can look through and wave at people. I don't know. There's things I just don't know what they're doing here, but there's a lot of things you can do with this app. That if I wasn't trying to stream, see my settings, see my CPU usage, make sure at least the stream part was working. If I wouldn't have hooked up Restream last night, which was brand new and I don't know anything about it other than I hooked it up, maybe I'd be paying attention to the chatting or the companion app for Zwift. But I digress. Well, now I know we have to be going downhill because it looks like we're going downhill. So, should be able to speed back up. And of course, you know, my legs aren't really used to any of this either. So that's a big part of the problem. So I'm just getting used to all of that, getting used to how it all works. Well, I think 32 minutes today is enough because it's after 9 o'clock. I do have to be to work at 10. So anybody that was on here watching, I really do appreciate you guys being on here. And and please visit again. Subscribe to my channels. Cheer me on. It's going to help me. You're going to be a part of what I'm calling Mission 44. And Mission 44 is me getting down to 244 pounds. Mission 44 sounded cooler than Mission 244. So that's why I chose that hashtag. But again, I really do appreciate all the support if you're on here. Even if you come after the fact, you know, throw some comments and then I'll try to get back to them when I'm notified. So anyways, today was probably a better day than any other days I've attempted this. As far as the exercise go, hey, I got 30 minutes in. I wouldn't have gotten in any other day before I started this journey. And even though it's only 30 minutes, it's enough for me as I'm just getting started and getting my body used to moving again. So anyways, thanks again for stopping by. Sorry this stream wasn't perfect, but again, I do appreciate you being here. We'll talk soon. Please subscribe and we'll see each other.